In 2019, I was excited at the announcement of a new Geass film. I was aware of the existence of the recap films, but never had any interest in watching. I don't remember the reason exactly. Most likely, I assumed the films just recapped the original show and added nothing new. But with Lelouch of the Resurrection, we were finally getting a continuation of R2, or close enough. I knew that it was technically not a sequel, but I was still excited. It happened to be showing at a theater near me, so naturally I went to watch it. The sub was sold out, leaving only the dub option. I was never going to see the sub anyways, and if anybody did, well, you're not really fans of Code Geass anyways. Being with other Code Geass fans enhanced an already enjoyable experience. I remember everyone was laughing at the nude scene with Shamna or trying to understand why Shirley was even in the film. I walked out of the theater feeling happy and satisfied. I did not expect a masterpiece or some profound story, just another Code Geass story with Lelouch. One final hurrah with our characters from Code Geass, much like what Trigon Badlands Rumble was. The thumbnail is not just for show, as I saw this film in the same way as The Expendables, only here we have the original cast, both in the characters and the voice actors, getting together for one more adventure. And from a dub fan, I'm really thankful that the original cast came back. Considering that Code Geass had an all-star dub team, I imagine this was no easy feat. We also had some legendary voice actors appear in the Code Geass universe for the first time. After coming back home from the theater, I realized that many things about the film did not add up. This phenomenon is often referred to as fridge logic, since these ideas came to me when I was, well, looking in the fridge. Let's go through some of those oddities. When I think of these issues, Mr. Potato Head's quote from Toy Story, "Did you all take stew pills this morning?" comes to mind. You're probably wondering, what does this have to do with anything? This quote summarizes much of the film. The film treated the audience like the characters as if they took stupid pills. For example, Schneisel embarrassed Cornelia by suggesting the idea of attending her wedding someday. I'm thinking the whole time, wait, Schneisel tried to kill you and killed most of your family. Why are you acting nice around him? In fact, why is anybody acting nice around Schneisel? The same goes with Nunnally. And to be fair, this is a complaint that I have with the ending of R2, but it's only made worse in this film. Colin had a weird moment after Shamna used her knowledge of the future to ruin Lelouch's plans. Colin was losing a bit to her and was asking Zero for orders on specifically what to do. Now, Colin had these moments in the original series, like when Suzaku was revealed as the Lancelot pilot. The difference between the film and the original series is that Colin never needed instructions on how to fight. Why would she? And even in this case, after Lelouch took control, all of a sudden she figured out what to do. In fact, I can't remember a time after Lelouch took control did she actually need to get orders from him in order to defeat Bitter. I understand that a leader can boost morale, but Colin seemed unable to even fight without Lelouch's commands, which goes against her character. And speaking of Colin, the fan service with her, and through most of it in this film, was mostly tame. But there was one scene that really pissed me off. It was when Bitter joked about raping her. I understand it was to make Bitter seem evil in an easy and lazy way, but Colin deserved better. She's still very young and innocent, clearly not over Lelouch. I don't care if it's used for fan service, it does not justify this scene. And one more thing on Colin. I know she felt bad about removing the frame coat, but seeing her say "I'm sorry" repeatedly was so weird. I did like how at the end you see Colin apologizing to Shanti for destroying her frame coat. But back to characters who took stupid pills. Suzaku said the world was boring without him, referring to Lelouch. I'm wondering if Suzaku was talking about how the fans feel or how he feels, because what happened to Narita and to Yuffie were anything but boring. Didn't Suzaku beat up Lelouch earlier for being alive? I'm not buying that he forgave him after that, considering Suzaku was beating up Lelouch many times in R2 and still was upset with him. And speaking of the beating, why did Suzaku only discuss Lelouch lying to him and the pain he put people through? Shouldn't he have focused on the fact that Lelouch had to die as part of the Requiem? This was his way of atoning for Yuffie's death. What he said seemed generic to me, and Suzaku had specific reasons for why he hated Lelouch. In addition to these moments in the film, we have scenes that make light of key moments from the original series. For example, Ogi almost kills himself in front of Lelouch. Everyone in the theater thought it was funny, but not me though. I was not laughing. I was angry. First of all, why was Ogi the only one apologizing? Lelouch was using the Black Knights as well. This was much as Lelouch's fault as it was Ogie's. Instead, Lelouch just accepts the apology as if Ogie was the only one wrong here. They also did the same thing at the end when Nunley apologized to Lelouch. He even says the same thing, water under a bridge. Number 2, why did this come across as a joke? The entire betrayal of the Black Knights, regardless if you agreed or disagreed, was a serious and pivotal part of the story, so why are we making light of it? It changed everything, and Ogie was really upset about it. Even in the new film Glorification, they added a scene of him and Tamaki expressing regret for the whole thing. This was one of the worst scenes in the entire film. A bigger issue than this are the contradictory parts in this story. The one that stood out the most was when Lelouch explained to Shamna why he would not want to change his past. He says, "Why would I shed the greater part of who I am? My past is the crucible for which I was forged. My scars are a testament." What's ironic here is that the film in a way is defending the original Code Geass series, which had legitimate complaints, but then we have the recap films, in my opinion, were designed to correct past mistakes in the original series. And even if that was not the case, it still changes the story regardless. So, which is it? You can't have Lelouch state that the past should not be altered when the creators themselves made films which do exactly that. And this contradiction fuels the agenda of this film to glorify Lelouch. The idea being, let's make everyone act against their nature to forgive and seemingly forget what Lelouch did. This agenda is the worst part of the film because of how wrong it feels and forced at times. Just because Lelouch is back does not mean what he did is completely forgiven, and characters should not act like that either. I know that this film is supposed to invoke nostalgia, but I was disappointed they copied the opening to R1 and R2 again, making it the third time we see Lelouch gaining the power of Geass and commanding soldiers to kill themselves. They even copied the method and scenario in which Lelouch killed Kolaris on Sheta Fargnar. But at least we get that epic soundtrack that was playing at the time, and brand new Geass animation. Another thing that this film copied from R2 was introducing more Geass concepts with little to no explanation. I understand in simple terms how Lelouch got his memory back, but I'm not sure what happened to Shamna or what she was trying to do. The best I could gather is she was trying to do something similar to Charles with 2 codes, but I think she was trying to amplify her powers to go back in time. And I was wondering where she got her code and Geass from, for that matter. And going even further, I'm not even sure what Lelouch and Shamna even are. From what I gather, they're failed ones, meaning they have a code and a Geass and a partial immortality. But they should have explained this in the film. For example, they could have brought up how Lelouch was able to control his Geass power again. I'm guessing that is one of the abilities from the failed ones. To be fair, they do provide some clues which I've been going off to try and piece all this together. For example, C2 mentions that Zilkstan left the Order 200 years ago. Okay, so at this point you're probably wondering if I was lying about liking the film, and I promise I enjoyed this film. So let's talk about what I actually liked. This film was a gift to the fans, and you can see this with just the Easter eggs alone. In fact, the Easter eggs alone could be its own video. Let me know in the comments below if that's what you would like to see. My favorite Easter eggs are the Glyndon Knights at Nunley's wedding, the Gurn Mark II shown covered by sand in the opening, and Jeremiah with the oranges. This might also be an Easter egg, but the last episode of R2 is called RE, with a semicolon at the end. The film's title has the same semicolon after RE in Resurrection. This was obviously not a coincidence. The film did a good job introducing classic characters from the original series and retreading old gags from the original series, my favorite being Cecile's strange recipes. The animation in this film was amazing. Every character looks so good. Just compare it to R1 or even R2 on Blu-ray and it's night and day. Colin, C2, Cornelia, Millie, Rakshata, and Cecile were already beautiful, but my god did they look stunning in this film. And we can't forget about Lelouch. They did an excellent job animating this legendary character, and that scene of him putting the Zero costume on one more time was so badass. The Nightmare frames was another element that I loved in this film. There were so many new models, and it looks like Shanti is working on the next generation of Nightmare frames herself. Cornelia's Nightmare frame was amazing. They kept the original Gloucester design, but added elements from the Vincent Vard and other 7th generation Nightmare frames. It was so cool seeing it fly, and the knight armor was a nice touch. And when I saw Jeremiah's Nightmare frame, I was thinking, okay, a Sutherland with a paint job. But oh my god, its firepower surprised the heck out of me. Plus, when I looked at the Nightmare frame closely, I noticed the clever design for the head, which parallels Jeremiah's. I was so happy to see the Gurren Satan 8 elements, now with an updated version called the Type Special, and the Lancelot Albion now called the Lancelot Sin, outside of the frame coats. I was getting worried for a little bit that they were going to stay in those frame coats forever, but I can't deny that 2 frame coats were an awesome idea and packed serious firepower. Did you know that Colin killed more than 77 units at once? I liked how this idea built off the Sutherland SIG, which was what Jeremiah was piloting. I'm glad that the team that animated the Nightmare frames learned from Akito the Exile and did a much better job incorporating CGI with the Nightmare frames. It was used sparingly and appropriately, and the action did not suffer, but it never reaches the insanity of Akito the Exile, which is not even a bad thing. I like how they milked the moments of both the Gurren and the Lancelot removing the frame coats, even having Suzaku doing that awesome Lancelot pose. I'm not sure why Lucius Shinkiro lost to lower generation Nightmare frames, but I guess he forgot how to use the shields correctly. But because of that, we get to see the unfinished Gekko Nightmare frame in action, and Z2 is once again a co-pilot to Lelouch in a Nightmare frame. The Balarandu and the Nagido Shu main were nice additions to the Nightmare frame lore. I liked Xiaoyo's more though. The pilots, Xiaoyo and Bitar, not so much. God, they were so annoying. I liked seeing the world after the Zero Requiem. The UFN in full swing with everyone wearing the outfits with the Black Knight symbols, the wedding video, and the Britannians with the Black Knights acting as equals. Zilkstan was an interesting concept, and they did a great job of creating a culture and making them distinct amongst the other nations. I like the parallels between Shamla and Xiaoyo with Lelouch and Nunnally, although despite Xiaoyo being crippled, he was actually protecting Shamla, which was the opposite of Lelouch and Nunnally. I like the brief time we had with the child prodigies, and I hope to see them again in Z of the Recapture. I gained even more appreciation for C2 while she took care of Lelouch in that state. The entire opening of Lelouch of the Resurrection, from the cafe to seeing C2 and Lelouch travel together, was a nice way to start the film off, and I love the expression she makes when Colin tells her to follow her own advice. You can see even then, C2 had romantic feelings for Lelouch. Colin, Lloyd, and Sayako surprisingly work well together. It even looks like Nina had some combat training. The moment that Lelouch shares with Nunnally at the end was amazing. It was a good closure as he finally let her go. This was important because he never got to do that at the end of R2. This was excellent character growth because Lelouch prior to this was only living for Nunnally, and now he's letting her go. He's finally started living for himself and for others. It was a very special moment. I love the whole operation to save Nunnally, although Anya felt underutilized, and I know that they were busy, but not seeing Toto or Gino in action was really disappointing. The entire operation reminded me of the Expendables, getting an all-star team to defeat a common foe. I love the wedding video, in particular the part where Toto talks about why marriage is important, but then Nagisa gives him this dirty look. And if you listen closely, she says, because obviously Toto has not realized that Nagisa loves him. I would have just preferred to make them a couple though, but I guess they still want to keep this gag going. While I did not entirely understand the sequence of Lelouch in C's world reclaiming his mind, it was well done. The animation was beautiful, especially the parts of C2 flying. And of course, we can't discuss the film without talking about the ending. Lelouch's proposal to C2 was adorable, as was seeing the two walking together holding hands. I often rewatch just those last scenes, and I know I'm not alone. I recently learned that the song played, Revive, is actually a love song sang by Lelouch to C2. Lelouch of the Resurrection, much like R2, throws a lot at you, maybe too much, and ultimately felt rushed. They clearly wanted to do a lot in this film, and in the manga you can see there was more planned for the story. Maybe that was the original plan for R3. When I think back at this film, I had more complaints than praise. So why did I like the film so much? It all comes back to what I said in the beginning. I just wanted one more ride with these characters in a simple story. I understand that some parts don't make sense, and they don't have to in this context. And if you disagree, that's excellent. And even part of me wishes they cleaned up the story a little more during pre-production. I have heard some argue that Lelouch should have never come back to begin with. I disagree. Since this is a different universe, it doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't ruin the sadness and the happiness that was the satisfying ending of R2. And if you don't want to see Lelouch come back, you don't have to watch the film. With Z of the Recapture coming out as a sequel to this film, I'm excited to see how they're going to continue from here. And we know that the game Geass RE Code is affected by this story, seeing as the Geass fragments from the film were shown in the trailer. But until then, we're going to have to wait. And with that, we have come to the end. If you want more anime content, including Code Geass, check out my blog. I'm almost finished my update for the anime streaming guide, so subscribe to get the current one while you wait. But now let's hear from you. Did you enjoy Lelouch of the Resurrection? If so, what's your favorite scene? Do you have other topics you'd like me to cover? Let me know in the comment section below. And remember, the world is not a dark place, and tomorrow will be a good day. Thanks for watching.